Have you been struggling with an existential crisis recently, based on the state of the world? Well, me too, so yeah, that's why I'm making this video today. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time coming. I did post on my TikTok that I would be making a video about this, because I don't think anyone can bear to even just go about their day and not, you know, question everything that's going on right now, because what the hell is going on with the world right now? So yeah, I'm just gonna dive straight into it. First of all, we need a revolution, because what do you mean? Like, so I saw this post a few days ago saying that by 2050, 1 in 2 people will die because of climate change, because of the heat, and because the world is literally on fire and burning, and yeah, and I literally thought to myself, I was like, damn, I'm losing half of my life because of something that's not even in my control, because of the state of the world that I'm not in control of, and everyone else seems to want to decide everything for my generation. See, I think that the problem is we need a revolution, but the problem is that there's so much propaganda going around that I feel like people care more about hating each other than hating the systems that are holding us where we are. And I'm not afraid to talk about this, because I feel like there are so many creators out there, and I'm not like slating them, but I feel like there's so many people out there with bigger platforms who could touch on these subjects, and they just don't. And I feel like I'm kind of obligated to talk about this because it's affecting me a lot, but also it's affecting loads of people around the globe, like more than me. Why is my door doing that? Anyway, I wanted to talk about this because it's affecting me, but also that's just the tip of the iceberg, because there are so many other people in this world who have it worse than me, even though, like, the stuff I've been through because of our world leaders and everything is horrible. But there are so many people out there who literally, like, they are dying. People are dying over this. And I just feel obligated to talk about it, because I feel like even though my platform's small, I feel like I can still be, like, someone that talks about these kind of things, because I don't really want to just pretend that nothing's happening and just, like, you know, do what I want to do, because the thing is, like, it's gotten to a point where the world is in such a state that now this is what I want to do. Like, I want to talk about stuff like this. So what inspired me to talk about this is mostly AI, because recently there was a massive uproar, because apparently they want to build an AI data center near where I live, and when I saw this, I was enraged. Like, I live in one of the cleanest areas, like, pollution wise, in my country, and so when I saw this, I was like, absolutely not. I'm not letting that happen. I signed loads of petitions. I was like finding like fundraisers that I can like give money to when, like, you know, when I have money and stuff. But I was kind of just like, that's not happening. I'm not letting that happen, because that's absolutely ridiculous. Because if you've seen the amount of people who live near AI data centers and the water coming out of their taps is literally brown, you can't live like that. People are being forced to move, but they can't move because they have no money to move because of the system. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we are trying to expand and build AI and, like, expand the skills and the abilities of AI when we literally have so many other problems that already need fixing. Why are we still trying to develop things when stuff from, you know, stuff that's been happening for years, for decades, centuries even, like, it hasn't been solved and it's causing worldwide issues? Why are we just not doing anything about it? I'm sorry, like, you can't move into the future without fixing the past. You just can't. Like, you're only gonna brush under the carpet all of the issues that we already have, and we all know what happens when things get brushed under the carpet. they always resurface. Also, something else I want to talk about is the education with AI, because how are we educating our children with this, with technology? Because the thing is, when I was younger, I was reading books. I hated reading, but I was reading books because I had to. Like, I was actually learning. AI didn't exist when I was a kid, so everything that I did, like homework and everything like that, I couldn't just get AI to write it for me. What that's creating now is a generation who can't think for themselves. Like, the amount of people that I know that use AI to do all of their like coursework or like stuff for their education is ridiculous, and it genuinely baffles me. Like, if you're doing a subject that you're interested in, why do you need AI to write all of your work for you? Because you should be interested in that topic. At the same time, I don't even blame them though, because the thing is, like, human brains are naturally lazy. Like, we are, of course we're going to take the easy route because we're wired to survive, not to be intelligent. We're not wired to want the best for ourselves. We're wired to survive in the easiest way possible. And so of course we're all going to start using AI to, you know, do everything for us. But the problem is when AI starts replacing the human mind, and when it starts replacing feelings, when it starts replacing your ability to critically think for yourself, because that is not only making you stupid, but it's also making you vulnerable, because you could literally be in any situation in danger and you won't be able to critically think for yourself. Like, you can't be in the midst of a crisis, say like someone's trying to break into your house, you can't just whip out your phone and ask ChatGPT what to do. Like, can you imagine a world where nobody can think for themselves? Because that's where we're heading. There are parts of my family where growing up as a child for me is so different to what I'm seeing in children in my family now. Like, they can't do anything for themselves, and they can't even eat a simple meal without watching something on a screen. Their attention spans are gone. Like, you can't properly parent a child either if they have no focus either. And also, not to mention, I wouldn't necessarily mind it if like children were watching educational stuff or like, you know, fun stuff that's actually good for them and gets them thinking and stuff, but they're not. They're just not. They're watching brain rot. Literal brain rot. It's called brain rot for a reason. Have we forgotten why it's called brain rot? It's not funny. It is rotting your brain. You don't know how to think for yourself anymore because you're watching videos that aren't real. Children are watching videos that aren't real. How are they supposed to decipher what's real and what's not in the adult world? Also, speaking of children, the government are complaining about the declining birth rates and like stuff like that. But how about we make healthcare accessible for everyone and free, first of all, and maybe then people will want to have children because they won't be having to spend thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of their finances on having a child. Because how come I can go book a hotel right now and it will cost me like £99 for a night, but then if I go to the USA and I stay overnight in a hospital, it's going to cost me £7,000 just for the room for one night? What is that all about? Because I would get it a little bit more, like I still wouldn't agree with it, but I would get it a little bit more if the costs of healthcare in the USA were also a bit more reasonable in terms of actual pricings, but they're not even reasonable. Like, why is it costing people hundreds of thousands of dollars to have a single child? Where is the logic? To solve the declining birth rates as well, if you want more women to be having more children, don't start taxing us for not having children either. That's a choice that someone wants to make with their life. That's normal. I don't want a pint of Guinness right now. Are you gonna charge me for not wanting it? What? Where is the logic? We're talking about the declining birth rates. Can we first also, you know, get rid of the gender pay gap? Start paying women more, giving credit to more women for the work that they are doing? Why is there a gender pay gap? For what? Being a woman. You know, paying us less for the children that we don't want to have because of what? Maternity leave. None of us want children because of that. How about we get rid of that? Why is all of the blame being put onto women for the declining birth rates when the problem isn't us, it's the society that we're living in? Do you know how unnatural of an environment and how traumatized someone has to be and how stressed out someone has to be to not want to reproduce? That is a human instinct, because if we are the problem, why is it that women all over the world have stopped wanting children? That's a human instinct, right? And with men as well, like the whole male loneliness epidemic, it's not real. It's not real. It is literally the consequences of their own actions. What did they expect? They want to use women, they want to rape women, they want to abuse us, they want to keep us in control, they want to pay us less, they want to blame us for all of their behaviors, and then they wonder why we don't want to procreate with them. They wonder why we don't want to procreate with them when they don't have any emotional intelligence from the way they've been raised. They wonder why we don't want to procreate with them when all they want is to put us in a kitchen and watch the kids. Why? Who wants that? Because genuinely, I think we should start holding men to the same standards that they hold us to. Because also, separate issue, Wizard Liz, her situation, why the hell is she getting all the blame for a man's actions? She didn't do anything wrong. And she's being blamed for being cheated on, for being abused, for being blackmailed and used. Because why are people saying that it's her fault because, oh, she should have seen the manipulation early on? No, he shouldn't have cheated on his pregnant partner. Oh, and now she's also, like, left him to be a single dad and just gone to live her own life and given him the child. Good for her. Because do you know how many fathers there are out there who do the exact same thing and they get praise? They get praise for leaving a toxic relationship so that it wouldn't come down on the child. But then when the Wizard Liz does it, she's abandoning her child, right? And there's so many double standards, like, why are men being praised for behavior that women already show? Why are we praising them? That's normal. And also, I've heard so many men say, oh, like, pregnancy is 50-50 and, like, we made the baby 50-50. And no, you didn't. If you're a mechanic and I hand you a tool, does that mean I did 50% of the work? Because also, what about the statistics of domestic violence with the World Cup? I feel like that's something that no one's talking about because everyone loves the World Cup because, oh, football, oh, yay. Are we going to ignore the amount of domestic violence that happens to women because England lost? Because every single time the World Cup happens, I end up thinking more about what result of the game would end in less domestic violence than which team I hope is going to win. Because men want to go on about, like, oh, like, women are so emotional, they're hysterical, like, they're so dramatic and blah, 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 but then men will literally beat up their wives over a football game. Why is it that most of the population can't see that this whole New World Order thing is just a completely false show? People are being bombed in wars, there are genocides happening around the world, and the government just doesn't want to listen. They just want to think, oh, well, we're getting more money from the World Cup because all the sponsors. And it's like how Trump has literally been losing supporters, not because he's a pedophile, not because of the women that he's raped, no, because of the high fuel prices. Are we that far gone? Seriously? I cannot stand to see a single, like, I open Facebook and all the time it's just, oh, women do this, women are so annoying, and oh yes, Trump, oh yes, Nigel Farage, we need to get the immigrants out. First of all, shut up about immigrants. They work hard for their lives, and I know, like, the Wizard Liz has gone on about this, but, like, I want to reinforce what she is saying, because There are so many people I see day to day going on about immigrants and how they are taking all of the jobs, because last time I checked, Kevin, you didn't want to be a brain surgeon. You don't have the qualifications. You don't have the skills. To again reinforce what the Wizard Liz is saying, show immigrants respect. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they look like, it doesn't matter. Their appearance has nothing to do with it. I don't get why the racism is involved. There is absolutely no reason to be racist to someone when they have come from a country where their people are getting bombed, their people are getting killed, and they come to a different country to find peace and get on with their lives. Like, immigrants come from nothing and they build their own lives in different countries because they can't live in their own countries. And you're telling me that, oh, like, an immigrant wants to steal your job. Last time I checked, you're not working anyway. Last time I checked, all you want to do is go to the pub and rant about women to your male friends. Because the thing is, if you think about it, the way that the government describes immigrants is the same way they are describing themselves. They are projecting all of what they are causing onto immigrants. They want you to believe that it's the immigrants who are stealing your jobs. They want you to believe that it's the immigrants stealing your homes. Because realistically, that's not what's happening. If you look at the bigger picture, who is actually stealing our jobs? AI. They are making AI to replace us, and then they are blaming the immigrants. Literally, millions of people across the world are literally homeless, not because of immigrants, because they can't afford a basic living life because the minimum wage is too low for what everything else is. Everything is so expensive now, people cannot afford to live in their homes because of the government. And they want to be like, oh, all the prices are going up from inflation. It's not our fault. It's the immigrants' fault. No. The prices wouldn't be so high if you weren't bombing Palestine. And not to mention, they say, like, oh, just, go to school and then go to university, get a 9-to-5 job and work for the rest of your life until you're, like, 60, which most people can't afford to retire at 60 anymore. And then you can live your life on your retirement money, when in actuality, people can't even live off of their retirement money anymore. And also, last time I checked, I don't want to just live in systems. I don't want to spend my entire childhood in school. I had to, unfortunately. I don't want to then go into university, have a ton of debt after that, and then what? For what? Try and get a job that I can't get? Because AI is replacing all of them? Because also, even if you do follow that whole, like, system as well, by the time you've stopped working your 9-to-5 job and you're free, financially free, and you have your freedom, you can't even walk up the stairs because you're old. So where is the freedom? Because unless you have tons and tons of money, you are not free. And also, the amount of people who are so goddamn brainwashed as well. Like, I cannot find a decent person to just have a conversation with without them saying some brainwashed, absolute diabolical shit. Because no one has any critical thinking skills anymore. Half of my lifespan is being cut off because in 2050 the world will barely be livable. 4 billion people are estimated to die. That's most of us, unless you're rich. And then they want to spend all this money on AI. Because also, why are we spending so much money on AI? Last time I checked, AI wasn't a necessity. Do you know what necessities are? Food, water, shelter. People, many people across the world are lacking that right now. Can we give the money to those who need it? Instead of, putting money into big corporations that, have loads of money and are hoarding it all. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I do hope that this world gets better at some point. And yeah. Bye.